Hello everyone and welcome back here to Heroes of the Dorm. The round of 64 continues. My name is SolidJake.
And I am Gillyweed, and you are right, this is the round of 64 and we are ready for our final casted match of the evening.
Oh my. Now, there's actually been many matches going on throughout the day, and we wanted to update you guys on exactly what has gone down. We see the Lamowls of Temple actually defeated For the Dream, one of Cal Berkeley's teams, 2-1, and then we had Cal Poly Pomona defeat Ryerson 2-0.
In another 2-0 match, Western Washington Hal Play defeated Wisconsin's First Pick Nova, and finally on this side, we've got the Real Meme team beating Michigan Hot Boys, and actually specifically about that, Michigan Hot Boys were playing with somebody who was not on their roster, so unfortunately they were disqualified from this match, but it will be Utah moving on into the round of 32.
All right, we got some more results for you. Florida State, we saw that all happen where the Indiana defeated them 2-1 in a very, very close series that went all the way to Game 3. We also had Penn versus Florida, where we saw Team Dan defeat Fried Murloc 2-1 as well. 2-1,
and there is the Real Meme team versus Hot Boys again. Yukon Tricky Turtles 2-0 versus Oregon's Quack Attack.
My boys.
I'm frustrated though, Quack Attack, what a name!
Tricky Turtles is way cooler than Quack Attack. Battle of the animals that live at the top of the water.
I have nothing else to say to that, Jake.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we do have one final match left for you today in the round of 64, and that is going to be none other than Q-Build Brightwing and VCU.
So we will have East Carolina versus VCU Havoc, and we can take a closer look at Q-Build Brightwing. Actually, at the stats for these first. 6-0 and 10-0, so good stats on either side for both teams. I'm really excited for this matchup, Jake. You and I have been talking about this all day, how this is a really highly anticipated matchup for the both of us, and that's because both of these teams are known for pulling out some pretty interesting pocket picks, so we could be in for anything when it comes to the draft.
All right, well, speaking of pocket picks, let's start with Q-Build Brightwing. What exactly are you expecting out of this wondrous roster?
All right, well, Q-Build Brightwing, they have some interesting tricks up their sleeves. One of the things that I saw them do was pick up a Lily and a Chen, and then 3 specialists on Blackheart's Bay. And there you can see the Lily. This is actually Oddish, so the team captain of Q-Build Brightwing that we're seeing here. Plays a lot of assassins, but also can play supports. They're pretty fluid in the roles that they can play. They're not at all afraid to use what we call cheesy strategies that can get them a quick and easy win. And in fact, in one of their games, they got 42 kills and only 1 death.
Oh my goodness.
They are terrifying.
That is nightmarish.
That is nightmarish. Now, one thing to note for these is that they did have a roster change fairly recently. They swapped out Tantro for Red Angel, who we do see here on the roster, and they said that is their biggest fear. Otherwise, they're feeling very confident moving all the way through, maybe even to go up against the big teams in their bracket.
Very cool. Well, that's the team, Q-Build Brightwing, which will be on the blue side in this match. But of course, you can't have a tournament or a competition without another team. Their opponents on the side of VCU, let's talk about Flubberduck. He is absolutely monstrous with those warrior heroes, and there's even a chance that we'll see Cho'Gall busted out. Now, this is a hero we have not seen all day, but it's a powerhouse if you are able to have strong synergy with a partner.
Yeah, it requires strong synergy because it's 2 heroes controlling one, or 2 players controlling 1 hero even. But here is the VCU roster. We've got Crethius, Egwene, Flubberduck, Prob, and Jet Black. I know you did a lot of research into this team, so what else can you let us know about VCU?
All right, so Jet Black, their support player. Okay. He plays Malfurion 70% of his games.
Wow.
Like, that's actually just ridiculous. Like, most players are leaning towards Karazim, Brightwing, Tassadar, Rhaegar, of course.
Yes.
Before Malfurion, a lot of support players would say Malfurion's one of their least favorites.
Sure.
Not at all the case here, and they've had great success with it so far. And on top of that, Egwene, he likes to play Misha and her pet Rexar.
I like how you phrase that. That's exactly how he put it as well. Misha is really the one in charge here. She is really fantastic, both of them together, but it requires a lot of really good skill because of the fact that you're controlling both of them at once, and you're really relying on making sure that Misha is going where you want her to go.
It certainly does help if Misha knows where she's driving to. Well, guys, we're going to drive you right on into the draft here for our final matchup of the day. Sky Temple, once again, will be the battleground for game number 1. And the first bans are about to begin.
So VCU will have first pick, first ban, and they're going to ban Zagara. This is a one that has been picked up a lot throughout today, and she is a really big powerhouse in being able to sit in that bottom lane and solo it. But another solo lane hero going to be taken off the table in Thrall.
Yeah, you know, that's a great response when you consider just how prominent it is to throw one really powerful hero into that bottom lane. But Falstad, that global presence to the fly, his mount replacement, makes him so very useful on a battleground like this, in East Carolina going straight for the Rhaegar.
Ooh, maybe they have something up their sleeve. Maybe they're gonna just have a couple of picks that won't really give away their strategy. That is the nice thing about that second pick position, is that you only pick a couple of things. They've got Diablo along with Rhaegar, and so if they have something different that they're going to pull out, a big pocket pick, they can save it until later on. But I like Falstad that has been grabbed. It is a favorite of Prob. Here is Diablo. We've been seeing a lot of the Lord of Terror today, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, he's really picked up a lot of popularity, and especially when you have other heroes that have a bit of lockdown. He's just so very good in the early game. He forces passivity out of your opposing team if they don't know about the rotations that are coming, and he's just all about finding those kills and making those moments happen.
Well, continuing on with the draft, VCU now have 2 more picks. They're going to grab Tyrande. It's nice to have her, especially because of their Sentinels. She provides lockdown, but having Diablo and Tyrande together on the same team can be very scary. You know, we've seen Muradin and Tyrande, we've seen ETC and Tyrande. Diablo and Tyrande very similar in that once he overpowers somebody, she can throw a Lunar Flare down, Hunter's Mark, and then lots of damage.
And yeah, this is kind of interesting because Tyrande's a good denial from Diablo, yes, but also it's the next most played hero on the side of Jet Black. So although he might not be playing Malfurion, which is probably his biggest comfort pick, it makes a lot of sense to try to remove Tyrande from the options of East Carolina.
Yeah, and in the roster, actually, they did say that Jet Black, his favorite hero, was Tyrande, even though. So although Malfurion is that pocket or that comfort pick,
Tyrande's his
really
bae.
Like, yeah, his bae. But now, looking at Li Ming, one of our newest heroes to the Nexus, she just has the ability to put out so much damage. With Critical Mass, her trait, if she's able to get a hero kill, then it resets all of her abilities, including her heroic ability. So she can, if they can just get those resets going, then she can start putting out a ton of damage and get almost be a cleanup crew for her team.
Yeah, really, really powerful hero, that's for sure. Wave of Force, great utility. We often do see Disintegrate prioritized as that #1 heroic, but Wave of Force, if you're worried about the dive that could be there on the side of something with Diablo paired with Illidan, you never know, because Illidan is certainly a risk in any situation when Rhaegar is involved.
Right, and that's not what VCU chose to ban. They're going to take Jaina away from East Carolina. Muradin will be the choice. I like that ban because of the fact that they've shown that they want to play with Tyrande, but that still means that ETC is available to VCU if they want to play him. Greymane will once again join us in the Nexus, this time on the side of East Carolina, and Vala will be the next follow-up. So just trying to get their damage in line.
Yeah, very auto-attack focused so far. They're not really going... I mean, yes, Greymane, when you go for the Gilnean Cocktail with Concentrated Blast, he does provide some pretty darn solid ability power poke, but very much auto-attack focused, and Johanna is going to actually end up being a phenomenal response to that style of play.
One more pick. We have a support. They could have another support.
Oh,
there
yeah.
it is, Jake. We called it. Rexxar is here. We should definitely take a look at this hero.
So I tweeted out that I demanded some Rexxar play out of them in this tournament, and they are delivering. Rexxar is actually 2 heroes in one. You have Rexxar and you have his bear, Misha. And the 2 of them can be controlled independently with a very diverse kit to control and really lock down the opponents. He's a warrior, but he's definitely, you know, unique because he's the only ranged warrior in the game.
Right, and an important thing to know about how Rexxar works is Rexxar can function without Misha if she gets taken out, but it's not the same. If Rexxar goes down, Misha will go with it. So Misha counts as a 25% of a hero kill, but if you can get Rexxar, who is a lot squishier, a lot weaker, then you will get that full hero kill. And Stitches,
oh my goodness,
wants to play.
Double warrior versus double warrior, Gilly. This is actually rather uncommon. I think it's the first time we've actually seen that in today's tournament.
Yeah, and that just goes to show that these two teams, we already mentioned that they were going to bring some unique styles to this game, this matchup even, because we've seen how they've been playing thus far. You know, you did a lot of research into VCU, and I was able to check out a lot of Q-Build Brightwing's games. They were a lot of fun, but on the side of Q-Build Brightwing, I'm ready to see how they're able to do with that roster change. When I was watching their games, Tantro was very central to a lot of their plays. He brought a lot of aggression, even bringing out Shadow Assault on Zeratul. So to not have him here, that could really change their how they're going to play.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we are loading into the first game of this best-of-3 series with Carolina University on the blue side. Demore will be playing Greymane, Dirty Harry on Rhaegar, Gare Bear going to be playing Diablo, Oddish on Stitches, and Red Angel playing Vala.
And on the red side, we have Havoc with Krethius playing Li Ming, Egwene playing Rexar, of course, Prob playing Falstad, Johanna played by Flubberduck, and finally Tyrande will be played by Jet Black.
Falstad immediately flying up to control the top center watchtower here on the side of VCU. And we just have some very passive, patient play by Carolina University staying back at their wall.
Something that Havoc will always have to keep in mind is the hooks from Stitches. That's a game changer in the way they play, and especially because they have Diablo too. They have so much ability to displace the members of Havoc. So it's very important for them that they don't get someone who is going to have trouble getting away from that cot. They need to make sure that they have things like Misha or Johanna up in front who can make sure to get away.
And Gilly, you know what that is? That is Master Skin Rexar, and that is a dead Tyrande stepping a little bit too far forward. The power of the double bruiser really paying off early for Carolina University.
And as we move into getting set up for the first temple phase, it will be Greymane in the bottom. I wondered if maybe Rexar would be the solo laner. He's actually a very good solo lane hero to be able to have it, but it will be top that he starts pushing in. And this might be an indication of what they want to do for that first temple phase. You know, if they can start to put some damage onto the towers, they might be okay with giving up that mid tempo in favor of getting the top and taking out an early fort.
You know, I actually really like the fact that it's Rexar in the top lane, just because he can actually throw Misha onto the point on the shrine while he continues to soak in the lane.
Right.
And he's like one of the only heroes in the entire game that can do things like that, like really cool functionality on that hero.
Yeah. We'll continue to see her, especially with the charge into. It's a great stun to punish people who are too far forward. But for now, and we're not going to see that team fight. We're going to instead see them start to work on being around the temples. And I love that they've kept Falstad into the bottom. Unless they need him, having him down there means that he can just continue to soak the lane, get them ahead in experience, and then fly up if they do get into a team fight around those temples.
Okay, well, pretty darn even split, but experience will definitely go the favor of VCU as Falstad was soaking that extra wave in the bottom. Now rotating up, saving that fly for an opportunity where it will be more impactful. Things are just about level 4 for both teams.
Very interesting talent pickup that we have for Johanna at level 1. It's not Knight Takes Pawn, which is vastly considered the #1 pick to have, but they do have Reinforced, and that's going to give her some block stacks whenever she uses abilities. So being able to have that block versus such an auto attack focused composition coming out from
oh, a max range hook teleport goes out there for Li Ming, and the wolf form going out there from Greymane almost ends up falling, but he managed to use the rending cleave to get out of the way of that hammering.
Nobody down thus far from this, and the temples have concluded. So as they start to go back into their lanes and look to maybe pick up the mercenary camps, and the bruisers might come a little bit later as they want to make sure to have those pushing. But actually, Oddish looking for the hook. They want to get aggressive. Yeah,
Oddish has been very scary all game long. Li Ming misses her magic missile, so not going to do too much damage to him. And Hunter's Mark will be cast, but not really getting any benefit.
Greymane already back into the bottom lane to soak, and the rotations are showing VCU starting to work on their bruisers. So they're going to have those. They did get a lot of that top tempo, so if they can get these and start to push along with them, they might be able to pressure Carolina into having to give up this fort, and that would be a good pick for them. They wouldn't have to worry so much about the top lane from then on. They could be much more aggressive about that bottom lane tempo.
Yeah, so as this game progresses, it's going to actually be very scary for the side of Havoc, because the later the game goes, the more health Stitches is going to have. He went for Hungry for More, as well as Amplified Healing. So he's going to be incredibly difficult to take out, and when he casts Putrid Bile, which will likely be his level 10 pickup for Heroics, that's going to make the entire battlefield a playground for Greymane to just go in and do his worst.
Right, and there are some heroes who won't have as much ability to get away. You know, Tyrande is pretty scary. We may even see her come out with sprint because of that, but we'll see as they continue to level up. For now, we've got Carolina with level 7. The Hunter's Mark going down onto Diablo. Can they take him out? Arcane Orb not far enough. Spirit Swoop does slow him down, but still with lots of health, he gets away.
No, it's good pressure regardless, though. I mean, we have this bottom temple spawning. Diablo actually opted to go back to base to heal up because of the amount of pressure applied. So even though they didn't get the kill, they're going to be set up well before their opponents here in this bottom lane, and they can even put a bit of light pressure onto this bottom wall if they're feeling cheeky.
I like that Carolina got their bruisers later on so that they will continue to push. And they won't have to worry about that top fort. They were able to keep it alive. Bear trying to find somebody to throw back to his team. Has to be careful, though. Did take quite a bit of damage from Falstad, but doing okay so far. Just looking for the poke until they can find the right person, you know, the right hook or the target for him to overpower into his team.
And we're already seeing beautiful play by Corinthians. Just with that triumvirate at level 4, he's getting max value out of it 3 times in a row now. Actually, the third one did end up missing, but still very powerful usage so far. And you can see the utility of Edwin using that Misha to really just zone out the enemy team. And once that dash has been used, back away with the bear.
Yeah, not only triumvirate, but we do have Zay's Vengeance too, so that will be more damage if they can be at max range. Flubber Duck will be the first to fall in this fight. Falstad going to follow, but lots of members on both sides low. Edwin so close to getting taken out, and as we see, Misha will go along with the Rexar. A hook, make sure that Tyrande won't be the one to escape either, and only Greymane, or only Li Ming actually gets away.
You know, there were so many low targets on the side of Carolina, but VCU just couldn't get that final blow ever, it seems. So it ends up being a, I believe, 4-for-0 trade. Now we have 5-0 in terms of kills for Carolina, and they're about to have a 2-level advantage.
Yeah, with so much control of that bottom temple, as well as the fact that they had the bruisers pushing top, and they were able to get so many kills, that's a great amount of experience bonus for Carolina. They're now about to get their heroic abilities, and we'll see what they grab. We'll see if it's that Putrid Bile you mentioned.
Yeah, I'm really feeling Putrid Bile with Ancestral Heal. There's the Ancestral. We see Apocalypse, and very powerful. Go for the throat. Rain of Vengeance.
There it is.
Have we seen Strafe once, Gillyweed?
No, I mean, the new damage is so good, plus the utility of the stuns. Johanna has to use Iron Skin.
Yeah, but well worth.
Oh, yes, of course.
All right, well, this is a scenario where VCU just needs to split up and soak to the best of their ability. But the max range hook onto Jet Black with the Shadow Charge in, but no overpower coming out, and even Putrid Bile being cast by Oddish to make sure they can have a safe escape.
Yeah, it slows them down just slightly so that the rest of the team who were down below could finish off that fort. That will be the first fort down actually in this game. Misha, what are you doing, buddy? Get back, my friend.
I was so scared for the life of that bear. We must protect our own. All right, well, we do see a lot of presence here in the bottom lane. That fort is indeed very low, and Carolina knows that since they have the heroic advantage, they can be a little bit more aggressive than VCU can afford to be. Yeah,
they're going to try to take out that fort, even steal the Giants, but VCU did see that everyone was down there, so they're actually moving up toward the top with Falstad, going to try to take out that fort that is very low, and should be able to do so. No one even close to being able to rotate up here.
Oh, but the hook on Li Ming, forcing out an immediate teleport. Rain of Vengeance only connecting on Johanna, and Misha dives in, but the stun is actually interrupted by the second charge of Rain of Vengeance. Big damage from the Apocalypse secured there onto that Johanna in the front, and Flubberduck does go down, as well as Li Ming. So it ends up being another 2-for-0 and Falstad. Oh my. That is brutal.
Yeah, I mean, Falstad flew in. Falstad actually did not get Mighty Gust. It's Hinterland's Blast. So that will be, it'll be interesting for them. They'll have to remember that they don't have that good disengage handy for them if they need it. But a lot of burst damage for sure.
Yeah, there's a ton, but now they do have their heroic abilities. They're just about respawned. It's going to take Rexar a while to get back into the thick of things, but I'd like to see them put all their attention into the top lane where they know they can contest a little bit more favorably.
For now, both temples are being held by Carolina, but they realize that this will be a split, and so they are heading up to this, and we should see Carolina try to get away right away. Lunar Flare did hit him, but he is in that Ghost Wolf form, and so it's not really, you know, a fully dismount, even if you get the stun.
Yeah, a little bit too slippery for them to really be able to chase successfully. I like the fact that Bravo's still down here, keeping these siege camps at bay and soaking the experience, but already only 8 and almost 9 minutes into this game, we see, keep damage being done permanently to that bottom lane.
Right, all the forts are down, and Carolina knows they have nearly the level 13 advantage, and that everyone from VCU is up top, so they're going to easily pick up the boss, and that will head toward the bottom keep, which they already were working on with that temple. Great plays.
Yeah, there were siege giants, there was the temple that was being controlled, and now this is definitely going to take out at least one tower in that bottom lane. So 2-level advantage. Carolina could get very aggressive with this, but they're looking to just continue to play really safe and control the map to the best of their ability.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about this team is that they are definitely strong with their rotations for both picks and objectives. Sometimes I'd noticed in games watching from the group stage that they sometimes struggled with focusing in the team fights, but this is what they excel at, just constantly rotating around and getting the objectives, forcing their opponents to play their game and just constantly react to Carolina, and that's working out beautifully for them thus far.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen this yet today, Gilly. The map is about to be painted blue. Every single mercenary camp will be controlled by Carolina University, which really just tells you how much they are dominating the early and mid game so far.
Yeah, they've dominated the kills 8-0 so far, and VCU is struggling on that front, struggling on the structure front, struggling from temples too. So Carolina just completely controlling this, and now with the bruisers, with that 13 talent tier advantage that they do have, starting to push on, and a big hook goes down onto Crethius into the putrid bile, so she can't fully get away, and that will be yet another kill for Carolina.
I mean, huge play there by Oddish, and we actually saw that Shadowstalk was completely wasted by our Tyrande player. So this is about as bad of a situation as you can be in. They're actually going to be in a scenario where they're losing this top wall, and they could potentially lose their keep with Edwin getting hooked in. That is dicey.
Now the Rain of Vengeance did come out, hitting a couple of members. They did just now take out Misha, but an Interland's Blast will take down Rhaegar.
A very uncommon heroic ability, but it pays off here because that one kill will allow them to contest this bottom temple, and they've now regained even talent footing.
Yeah, that's huge. The comeback experience, we mention it all the time, and I'm so happy, by the way, that Li Ming went for Illusionist here. No glass cannon when you're up against the Stitches Diablo destruction.
Yeah, this is very, very much a good, safe pick. Paired with Diamond Skin at level 16, it's going to make Li Ming a lot more slippery than she generally would be, especially if you opt to go for glass cannon.
I wonder if we'll still see that Diamond Skin. She's going for the Orb build thus far. She'll go for Arcane Orbit. We'll try to keep an eye on that, but I do agree that Diamond Skin will be very useful, especially if she's going to be the big hook target. That could really make the difference between life and death.
They keep using these, flanking Shadowstalks, and they're not really paying off. We constantly see strong responses on the side of Carolina, but the Ancestral going to connect, and now that is a dead Misha. No bear left in this fight.
No bear, and Jet Black gets hooked into the team. They decimate her. Now, Diablo is fairly low, but should probably have the souls he needs to come back if needed, but man, he might not even need that. Johanna gets taken out. Falstad dies. Rexar will be gone too, and only Li Ming, once again, the sole survivor from these fights, but Oddish throws out the hook, does not connect, just barely gets away.
Welcome to the dumpster, VCU. This is looking rough for you, my friends. We can see this instant replay action, the hook over the wall onto Jet Black, promptly blowing up the Tyrande player, and then they snowball this forward. Prob goes down, Flubberduck will be next, and Edwin has no escape. Li Ming, the only one to escape that fight.
You said welcome to the dumpster, and I immediately thought of it in song form. Welcome to the dumpster.
Beautiful. I love it.
Carolina 16-14, 2.5 level advantage for them, and they know that they can continue to paint the map blue. They know that they have that advantage, can rotate wherever they please, and the fear of the Stitches and the Diablo is terrifying for VCU. They want to get out and get a soak wherever they can, but anywhere they step, they know that there's the potential that a hook flies out of nowhere and all of a sudden you're standing right next to Stitches.
Yeah, and it's like, if it's not scary enough to have to worry about random hooks flying at you from across the map, now you have the concentrated blast and the Gilman cocktail, and that just hurts so much. You know, I love this. We're seeing Executioner on this auto attack style Vala as well. It's like as ham as you can go for auto attacks with Vala.
Right, but they've got, I mean, as soon as Putrid Bile comes out, that slow, if he can get a lot of people, then all of a sudden we've got a ton of damage that Vala can put out with that.
Very cool.
Yeah, as well as slows that come from Rhaegar. We once again have that totem build with the Earth Grasp, so 90% slow. That is so scary. When you've already been hooked, to have that drop down, trying to get away, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, well, the Ranger does, or the Sentinel does in fact connect and reveals that this Bruiser camp is being picked up. But there's nothing for VCU to do. They have no mercenary camps to collect. All they can do is safely soak the 3 lanes. But guess what? They're not even doing that efficiently, and that's the only way they're going to come back into this game. They need to make sure they, improve their soak so much moving forward.
Yeah, it really seems like they're just playing scared. They don't want to separate. They want to be able to have somebody bail them out should the hooks come a-knocking. But that means Carolina is just walking everywhere they want. They can say, oh, here's a mercenary camp here, here's a temple there, and they have no fear about getting engaged on. In fact, if they run into a mercenary camp and see the members there, all the better, because they're ahead in experience.
Okay, so Misha is actually going to the gym and just flipping around doing everything, but does manage to squabble her way on out of there. What does squabble mean? Don't ask me.
I will not. One of the bruisers has been taken out here. I'm wondering if they'll try to move in. These bruisers can be pretty tricky to try to engage into, but they still do have a tier advantage, and they might just be pushing VCU back as much as possible. As long as they keep them right here, they're keeping them from being able to get the full soak to try to come back in this game.
Yeah, this is tough, though, because double temple's being controlled right now by East Carolina, and those final 2 keeps on the side of VCU are being bombarded. They're looking to take a fight without level 16 talents on a level 18 East Carolina. That is so incredibly risky, and I don't know if it's going to pay off.
Yeah, Apocalypse comes out. Ancestral Healing keeps Diablo alive. The Reign of Vengeance takes Dween and Falstad down, and even Rex are actually both of them eliminated here. Putrid Bile means that Johanna is going nowhere, and they're even chasing
the
Li
big
Ming.
bad wolf.
The Gilnean cocktail eliminates Li Ming, and they're chasing after Tyrande.
This is the first time I've ever seen the Big Bad Wolf and Little Red Riding Hood paired together, but it seems like the dream scenario because they are just bringing the pain to VCU.
They've settled their differences, and now they are on the same team, and you are right, a 3-level advantage. They've picked up another temple. It is taking down the final keep on the side of VCU. All of their members, by the way, are down, so they have nothing. They have no ability to even try to stop this, and there are so many ways at this point that Carolina can win.
Yeah, and this is, another reason why we see Rhaegar picked so early in a lot of the drafts. Rhaegar is one of the few supports that is actually flexible enough to run around and grab his own mercenary camps.
Yeah.
With Lightning Shield and, of course, the, Feral Lunge, he can burn through them relatively quickly while withstanding through all the damage they put on him.
And because he can instantly mount and go into Ghost Wolf form, it makes him pretty safe, too.
True.
If people find him, he can go into that. Even if he gets hit by something, he won't get dismounted, and so he's fine. And they are looking at a way to win, and they see that the boss is live. Havoc have to realize this. They know that this is really the only
Sentinel
thing that's
just revealed. Shadowstalk has been used. The fly in and the Mighty Gust could happen. Oh, it's Hinterland Blast, excuse me. Johanna gets on the point. Falstad will be blown up promptly. And, they're attempting to blow this up, but the Reign of Vengeance is just hitting on too many targets. Putrid Bile is filthing everything up, and I think that's going to be game, Gillyweed.
Yeah, only Li Ming remaining, and even Greymane is chasing her down. She has the Illusionist trying to just get away, but even if she did, I'm not sure what she would do versus a boss and all 5 members of East Carolina.
No, Oddish, calm down. You are just picking this team apart.
Oh, man.
A 4-level lead for East Carolina. They will end game number 1 in decisive fashion versus VCU. GG.
Decisive is the perfect word to use to describe that, because that was gross.
Yeah, that was a little bit beefy. I mean, they definitely showed exactly how powerful of a team they are, and they brought the pain to VCU. Like, there was no remorse whatsoever.
Yeah, they came all the way through. They were undefeated through the group stage. They said they were worried about the roster swap, but I don't know why they were worried, because that game looked very impressive for them, and that puts them in a really great place, just psychologically, knowing that they're only 1 game away from being able to eliminate VCU and move on to the round of 32.
And, you also have to think about the mentality of the players in a situation like that, because that was not a close game. Like, we've seen a lot of really even games today, but
that was not one of them.
That was not one of them.
Yeah, that is true. So it was a great job by them. I don't know what we'll see. I mean, at least the VCU do have the battleground choice for them in the next match, but otherwise, Stitch's ban? Do I hear that? Like, those hooks.
Oddish is a beastly player. I mean, all throughout the game where we're seeing the hooks, but also the synergy that existed with Diablo. The Shadow Charge in to really just kind of completely dictate the pacing of every entrance in every scenario. I mean, just Oddish, calm down.
I don't know if I want to see her calm down because those hooks were so impressive, but you're right. They had so much of an ability to displace somebody. Even like they would hook somebody and then overpower them back further, and all of a sudden they were so far from their team. Even though they had...
Yeah, again, I mean, just over the wall, you think you're safe. But I have to say, you know, the usage of Shadowstalk was kind of poor in that game. A lot of times we see Shadowstalks used to really invade the enemy team and try to flank them, and it was being used way too preemptively. And there were situations where it was used in their base and they didn't even leave it. So, you know, a little bit more careful usage, less of a trigger finger on that ability will go a long way for the side of VCU.
Yeah, great avoidance, though, to be able to see, okay, Shadowstalk's using, let's just back out, wait until it's done, and then we can go in, grab a hook, grab an overpower, whatever we need to do. Also, the Ancestral Heals were on point, too.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Diablo would tank so much damage. Just go in and be like, hi, I'm Diablo, I'm the Lord of Terror.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, I thought so. It was a good impression. Just take so much damage away from the team, and then once they've displaced somebody, just Ancestral Heal him back up, and he's good to go again. He didn't even need to use his trait very often.
Well, it certainly was an intense game number 1, but we have some more action coming for you. We'll be back with game number 2 after a very short commercial break, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome back here to Heroes of the Dorm 2016. My name is SolidJake.
And my name is Gillyweed, and we are right in the middle of a best-of-3 between East Carolina and VCU. With East Carolina up 1-0. By the way, they have yet to drop a map in this tournament.
Yeah, but VCU, they busted out Rexar. I give them style points, but they've got to clean up their play if they want to be able to defeat titanic play like Oddish's Stitches.
I agree. Speaking of Oddish, we should definitely check out this player as her hooks were fantastic in the last game. This is a very flexible player, by the way. Normally an assassin player who was playing Stitches last game.
Color me impressed.
Yeah, but also, if you'll notice, Lily and Tyrande. So that's 3 different roles right out of the gates that we're seeing from Oddish, really just leading her team to victory, and I'm very impressed.
That's what we call flex, because they are so flexible, they literally play every single role in the game, and that is not an easy feat. Imagine being a quarterback and a receiver all at once.
That was a great comparison, Jake. I applaud that. But yeah, it's true. I mean, even have the mindset of like normally being an assassin player and then going into a game knowing you're playing Stitches and knowing that you can switch up the mindset and say like, okay, I'm playing tanky, I need to be up in the front and not in the back, not be passive. That's a difficult thing to master.
Alrighty, guys. Well, you know what? We want to know your thoughts on this upcoming game, so let us know who you think will be winning it out in this series by using the hashtag Heroes of the Dorm and, of course, the hashtag for the respective team. But I think we're actually ready to roll with our draft in game number 2, so let's not delay and hop on into it.
Here we go. We're going to be on Blackheart's base. So one of their favorite battlegrounds of East Carolina is Sky Temple, but now we're on the stomping grounds of Havoc. They chose Blackheart's Bay. It's the second time that we will be casting that battleground. And here we have thus far Murden and Thrall, Stitches, and Rhaegar getting banned. So the Stitches respect ban.
It's necessary, honestly, after a game like that. Very, very good to see that. But with Thrall being banned out on the side of East Carolina and grabbing Zagara, they're also controlling the solo laners. And that's so critical because every single time on Blackheart's Bay, the bottom lane is much further away from the rest of the map. And you really want to have that hero that can just dictate the pacing of that. And if they're going to put Edgewing down there on Rexar, I feel like East Carolina is happy to bait that out.
Yeah, at this point in the draft, Zagara will be controlling that bottom doubloon chest. They also, once again, have Diablo, so even though they aren't going to be able to get Stitches, they still have the Diablo, and they might have even baited out that Stitches ban by showing that Diablo, and they're going to have Jaina, so a lot of damage potential for East Carolina, but this time with Tyrande, VCU are going to be able to deny turn-ins a lot, and they have a lot of damage of their own.
I'm curious, though. Like I said, I want to see the Shadowstalk cleaned up a little bit in this game. And, you know, 70% of their qualifier matches, they played Malfurion on Jet Black.
Yeah.
So I'm curious why they have forsaken Malfurion suddenly.
So sometimes we talk to teams, and after, you know, when they get into these really crucial moments, they end up just drafting different than what they've been practicing, just mainly out of nerves. So nerves could definitely be a big part of this, or maybe they've got something up their sleeve for this last pick.
Gilly, we've got another double warrior style, the bruiser pair of Sonya and Diablo once again here for East Carolina. And we saw the power of Stitches. This is going to be a little bit more in your face than that.
So Oddish is the Sonya player, most likely. And I've seen her pick a pretty awesome talent that sounds a little bit like, oh,
Heroic Leap.
We'll see if they grab that. One more pick for VCU. Are they going to grab another support? It looks so, that looks like a very squishy comp.
It does. It feels like they're as squish as it gets, but I think they need that bottom laner to be able to go toe-to-toe with Zagara. They don't have anything that looks decent in the early game versus that. So Chen could work. Rexar definitely could work if Edwin is still feeling super confident and comfortable on that hero, and I'd be okay with that. Tassadar is on the table for that mid support that would do okay in that role as well. So they do have a few options, and Toronto Tassadar is by no means a bad pairing.
Right. We see that pairing quite a bit, and I don't know if we'll see the Rexar again, because when you pull out your big strategy, your pocket pick, and it gets decimated, as it did in the last game, that can be pretty scary to have to do once again.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that Edwin will actually play Li Ming. That's the second most played hero. So it's really based on how they think, or who's going to be playing what hero and what they're comfortable with, because especially in collegiate, these players aren't necessarily capable or willing to play 12 to 15 different heroes. They might have like 6 or 7 that they're really confident on.
Right.
And when it comes to drafting, the reduced hero pool, when it comes, it makes the drafts that much more complicated for them in particular.
It does. Just having the ability to have a couple of different players who can play a certain hero can help you out a lot. So it's nice that they at least have some options with that Li Ming. They don't have someone locked in, because that can be a problem when you get into later points based on what your opponents have been drafting. And this is a very strong draft from East Carolina, and it's going to be Zool as the final pick, so that will help versus Zagara.
The Necromancer coming out, yeah, he'll be pretty darn good in that solo lane. You know, I completely forgot he was even in play here, so shame on me. He is plenty fine when it comes to laning.
Right, we're still getting used to the idea of having another great single lane hero. It's been a bit, and we can see our Zool, the newest hero in the battleground. Poison Nova, and we've seen some skeletal mages though too, but generally Poison Nova is the big pick for the heroic abilities.
Yeah, it does a ton of damage, but we have seen those skeletal mages used a few times, so get your team a little bit more of additional control. But man, you pair that with Li Ming, which is what they already have in this draft, and we saw the damage of that. The poison that gets applied lasts for 10 full seconds, and you can do so much damage during that time. Li Ming, every time she gets a kill, it resets all of her abilities, and she can just continue snowballing through the enemy team like a bag of mean potato chips.
That is very scary indeed.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right, guys. So I think we actually have a Blackheart's Bay video.
Oh, yeah. Let's check out Blackheart's Bay and see what it's all about.
Now,
3-lane map.
Yeah, it is. It's a 3-lane map, and we've seen it today. You've got the doubloons across the map, and of course, we're talking about the power of those solo laners in the bottom lane.
Right, the solo laners are going to be very important. Likely we'll see Zagara and Zool down there battling it out. That's where one of the doubloon chests spawn, but there are lots of different ways to get doubloons on this battleground. There's pirate camps around the battleground. There's also the regular mercenary camps that will provide, and then of course every so often you will see these chests spawn that will give 5 each. So that's where you're going to get the biggest payout for an objective. And you can always take out your opponents. Of course, that could be a good payout too if you can find somebody who's got a lot of doubloons on them. But if you turn them in to Blackheart, he will start to bombard your opponent's structures. And if you get enough of those turn-ins, eventually he's going to start throwing cannonballs at the core. Yeah,
but we actually saw that earlier today where a team fight was completely lost and 26 doubloons were dropped and picked up by the enemy team. I mean, that's such a massive momentum swing.
It is.
It's kind of like I keep making all these football analogies.
Oh no, here we go,
It's like an interception, right? You're stealing the ball, right? You're taking the entire, momentum from the enemy team and putting it in your favor.
I applaud you. Did you do a bunch of football research before?
I played football almost my whole life, Gillyweed, believe it or not.
I did not know that. Yeah. We are learning new things about Jake today. But now, can VCU, with this last and final Zool pickup, be able to turn this around? Their tournament life is on the line right here, and their morale is really going to come into play too from this. If they lose a big fight, lose a bunch of doubloons, that could further the morale problem that they already might be having with losing that last game so handily.
Yeah, and especially when these teams don't have as much experience as, say, a team from the pro scene of Heroes of the Storm. It's hard to really have that strong mentality of, let's kind of get back together, refresh it. This is a whole new, unique experience where nothing is, coming over from the previous game. A lot of the times teams do get stuck in the mentality of, man, we just lost. how are we going to win this? How do we do this? The enemy team's too strong. So hopefully they have the fortitude to keep pushing through and bring us to a game 3.
And that tension only keeps mounting as we get further on into this tournament. I mean, once you look at the Heroic Four and the Grand Finals, which will be in front of a live audience at a venue, you could have players who aren't even used to that experience too, and that brings a whole other set of nerves to the table.
It certainly does. Now, again, game number 2 is going to be on Blackhearts Bay, and this is a best-of-3 series. So the team that loses here, their run for Heroes of the Dorm is over. This is it. This is their final chance to propel themselves into the round of 32, which is happening tomorrow, Gillyweed.
Yeah, we will be featuring 6 more matches tomorrow from the round of 32. All of the round of 64 is being played today. And then next weekend, we will be right back here as well to cover the round of 16 and 8. So we have a ton of Heroes of the Storm coming up over the next couple of weeks for Heroes of the Dorm. Lots more collegiate teams will be moving on, but a lot more will be getting it taken out.
Yeah, and the round of 16 is going to be actually just insane. We're going to be casting every single game of that round in a single day. So that means 8 matches back to back to back to back. And then the next day, the quarterfinals, all 4 matches in one day.
Yeah, it's great that we're going to be able to cover all of those matches next
wait.
weekend, because those are just getting really into the very, very important ones.
Right.
Starting to determine who will get to play on that big stage in Seattle at the CenturyLink Field Center. I am really excited to see which 4 we will get into the Heroic 4. We have a lot of returning teams, but a lot of new blood as well.
And of course, yeah, that's going to be April 9th and 10th at the CenturyLink Center in Seattle, Washington, and it's going to be a doozy. I was at the Dorm Finals last year working in the production truck, and oh my goodness, that the energy, you could hear the crowd from outside and in a trailer. Like, that's intense.
That was one of my favorite events to even just attend. I was hanging out in the audience, and first of all, amazing levels of confetti. Like the best levels of confetti I've ever seen in an event. It covered the floor. You could not see the floor at the end, and just like we saw, I think it was Panda Gigu's grandma came on stage at the end. Like it was just this momentous occasion.
She was awesome.
Yeah, the feel of knowing that by playing this game, 5 people were able to get themselves tuition. That's just like so momentous of an occasion.
I personally thought the grandma was the best part.
Me
She's
too.
easily the best grandma in A, and they even interviewed her afterwards, and she said some epic things. I'm not going to quote her because I will not do her justice.
She was pretty awesome. It was just so amazing, and I can't wait to see which team will be moving on here. Of course, East Carolina has a bit of an advantage because we're moving into game number 2 after them winning game number 1, and a great win, too. They're feeling really good. They're feeling confident. Like I said before, they have yet to drop a map.
Yeah, I was actually reading Twitter during our break after the last series, and I saw that Michael Udall was tweeting out that he actually busted out Kerrigan in his matches. And Kerrigan's not a very common hero in Heroes of the Storm right now. So the fact that he's busting that out in the round of 64, and, you know, they're one of the favorites for the entire tournament, it's really exciting for the future of this whole competition.
Man, Kerrigan for a long time has been one of Michael Udall's favorite heroes. He calls her his bae. He loves that he's able to bust her out. You know, in the past few tournaments that we've been seeing Michael Udall be able to play, he's been playing a different role. So I think he feels really excited that he can bring back that role of kind of the bruiser, the melee assassin, be really aggressive in the front line with characters like Kerrigan.
Yeah, I really just can't wait to see a lot of these top teams, you know, in their matches, of course, tomorrow. And basically, each round of the competition gets more and more fierce because the stronger teams are the ones that advance each round. So it's going to be very exciting to progress through the competition over the next 3 to 4 weeks.
So we got to talk to VCU, the captain, I believe, of VCU a little bit earlier this week. And they said that after they lost their first match in the group stage, that's when they started to really realize how important research was into their opponents. And they said they were able to get 2-0 victories over every one of their other opponents moving on through the group stage from that, just because of the research that they had been able to do. So obviously they've done research into East Carolina, but hasn't really paid off for them so far. Yeah,
it's tough though. I mean, as much research as you do, it's really difficult when some of your comfort picks are not necessarily orthodox picks. It actually makes it that much more difficult for your team to really be able to just play at the same level, because as much as I love Rexar and as excited as I would to see him, he's kind of a niche pick where he only really works in certain situations. Now, they did play him on Sky Temple, and that's one of the maps where I think he does have a lot of merit. Dragonshire probably the #1 map, just because you put him as a top lane hero, and he's very good at controlling that top shrine and that whole lane in general. But they're not busting out Rexar in this game. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. And we're actually ready to jump right on into it. So let's get started with game number 2 between Q-Build Brightwing, East Carolina, and Havoc of VCU.
So here in the blue, we do have East Carolina with Damore playing Jaina, Dirty Harry playing Karazim, Gerber playing Diablo, Sonya played by Oddish, and finally Zagara played by Red Angel.
And their opponents, VCU with Cretheus playing as Zool. We got Edgewing on Leeming. Flubberduck, what a great name, on Johanna. Prahab playing Vala. And Jet Black, the support, on Tyrande, forsakening Tyrande's lover, Malfurion.
So I have to say that in the battle of names, Flubberduck definitely
Oh my goodness.
Between these two teams. But look at the interesting thing they're doing. They know Zagara is going to be already into the bottom lane, looking to start moving and placing those creep tumors. They might be thinking that she's going to come up to this vent, but I love that our Zagara player is playing very passively. They don't see them anywhere on the battleground, so they know something is up.
Yeah, East Carolina is too smooth for this kind of maneuver. But Red Angel, as soon as I say that, he's stepping out to farm, and they have been patiently waiting in that bush. Now, this creep spread does give Zagara a bit of additional mobility. We see Vala is going to show in this bottom lane, so that might say, oh, okay, it's just Vala down here.
But still nobody else is on that. This is missing out on a lot of soak. This is a lot of soak that they're missing.
It is actually, so immediately, oh, we actually do have a pause. Now, immediately you'll notice there's almost half a level lead of experience in favor of East Carolina due to the fact that VCU put all 5 members into that bottom lane in an attempt to catch Zagara off guard. Now, unfortunately for them, Zagara, far too, proactive and just paying attention to the minimap. The team is talking, they're on voice communication saying, hey, look, we don't see anyone. We don't see anyone. Just play safe. It's exactly how you're supposed to respond to those kind of situations when you have no idea where the opponents are. And it's cost VCU. It's a gamble.
It is. And they lost. They did at least get a consolation prize of the bottom doubloon chest, so that's nice. They're starting to come back up now into the lane, still not going up to the top to be able to soak that, but the Bone Prison is on Gerber. They have the Hunter's Mark from that too, and that will be first blood. Yeah,
but Cretheus taking a ton of damage. Sonya going in, and the Radiant Dash Slayer gonna be enough from Dirty Harry to pick up a kill. Oddish might end up falling, whirlwinding back to safety, and Lunar Flare will completely whiff.
So a 1-for-1, good for East Carolina, especially because they got engaged on that way. Now Red Angel will have Prob staying here. Prob already took quite a bit of damage and had to use that well tap. So Red Angel can feel pretty confident and good about how he's done so far in the game. East Carolina, both teams actually getting back out. We'll see them start moving around more into those mercenary camps once they start to spawn.
Yeah, we do see Karazim attempting to turn in the coins that he has. I believe it's 5, yes. That has been successfully done. And we do see 5 in the pockets of VCU.
So is the Leeming player the same who was playing last time? Were you able to catch that?
I'm not certain.
Okay, well this time we have the teleport build, so already starting out at level 1. So realizing that last game they got caught quite a bit, and especially because of the Diablo, but the Stitches too, which they at least won't have to deal with, but just trying to be as safe as possible this game.
All right, well, we got 2 turned in so far here for VCU. Level 4 talents being picked up. Full-on create build so far for the Zagara player, and actually a bit of a mix-up for Tyrande. Now, generally speaking, when you play on this battleground, you want to go, especially as a lone support Tyrande, you want to go for a Sentinel style. Not only is it great for disrupting the turn-in at Blackheart, but it also gives you the reset in your cooldowns, allowing you to heal a little bit more effectively. So this is a bit of a gamble, putting an additional focus on that Bone Prison combo with Lunar Flare and Hunter's Mark to really capitalize on early game kills.
Yeah, the early game is very important on Blackheart's base, so if that works out for them, that'll be fantastic. But like you mentioned, it does mean they won't have those cooldowns as often, so it will be a gamble. Another gamble. Oh, Edwin has to get away, does avoid the crash of the blizzards. By the way, that is Snowstorm, so the increased radius can make it really difficult to get back behind your gate. If they place that down there and you need to run through it to get away, it basically puts you in a terrible position, because if you run through it and you're really low, you're going to die, but if you don't, then they're just going to catch you anyway.
Yeah, certainly. It's definitely a powerful ability, especially with the additional radius. All right, bottom lane, we have a big rotation happening, but we see Red Angel, the new member on this team, the replacement that they brought in, their sub, is just playing so well. He's playing super safe. You know, we thought he might be a weak link for the team.
Right. When we asked Oddish about him, she said that he loves playing as specialists. So putting him on Zagara has got to feel very confident about that. The creep has been spread out with, like you mentioned, the full creep build along even with Tumor Clutch, and they will get the endless creep. So they're going to have a lot of vision, and that's going to be great, especially around Blackheart too. If she can get a couple of creep tumors up at that point, then it basically nullifies the Sentinels of Toronto 2, because both of them will have vision over the turn-in point and can see when the other is trying to throw the doubloons at Blackheart.
All right, well, Diablo, Sonya doing their best to try to contest this versus the 3 members there on the side of VCU. Bit of a risky play, but that Lunar Flare was just a bit too little too late, and we have a successful turn-in to Blackheart for East Carolina.
So they'll start taking out that first fort of the game. Meanwhile, Red Angel still putting on a lot of pressure into the bottom with those Giants. Krethia is having trouble with the Zagara, and she's going to set up so that she can get the creep right around Blackheart. May even stay there just to try to get those 5 doubloons off of her so she feels safer if she has to get into a fight.
And that's just why Zagara is so highly valued on this map.
Yeah.
Like, every time she places one of those tumors down, she gets vision, but Gare Bear, good night. We do see the Blizzard doing a ton of damage. Jet Black should end up going down here, but has Demore actually gone too far forward? Yes, she has, and she will end up going down.
She did get a good frostbolt onto Toronto to take her out, but they still only traded out. So good job by Havoc, able to get a 2-for-1, and they're trying to get more of the turn, and they already have 7. They have what they need, but it's pretty risky.
Yeah, a little risky from Oddish to even consider trying to turn in there. They need to back away. They just had 2 members of their team go down, and Jaina hasn't even respawned yet. Now just coming back into play, East Carolina has a full level lead. There's no reason for them to look for a fight until they have level 10, and Oddish with 5 coins could be going down here. Beautiful peel there from Gare Bear.
Yeah, that was absolutely necessary. They want to get the turn in. They want to fight as soon as they get 10, but they need that 10 first. This is the time when VCU wants to be fighting, so they need to be a little bit more patient until they can reach the heroic abilities.
Yeah, all right. Well, we can see that the 10 is slowly but surely approaching pretty far forward position there from Demore, forces them back and allows them to get the turn in. This will guarantee level 10 for sure, and they can put a lot of pressure onto this bottom lane.
Yeah, they've already been able to drain the towers of ammo, which is nice. They don't have to deal with getting hit by that, and we'll take them out to make sure that they can get yet another fort with the turn in. Just making sure whatever pressure they can put onto structures they are doing, so that they don't get into the late game and have to get 22, 24 doubloon turn-ins, which are really difficult to achieve.
It is very, very difficult, and we see the top fort is going to fall, and the bottom fort should end up falling as well from all the pressure they have here, as well as the bruiser camp that was just collected in the bottom lane.
Yeah, about halfway down, lots of minions onto the fort too. They're going to start to move back, but VCU still a full level away from getting heroic abilities. So again, we're seeing the same situation we did last game, where East Carolina, with their strong rotations, with the objective control, they are the ones completely controlling the game.
Okay, well, there is 11 in the pockets of Havoc, but they cannot really safely look for a turn-in until they have those heroics. Edwin all by himself. Teleport not going to be enough, and that is lights out. Throwing 2 coins over to his opposing side, really not the way you want to do it.
Man, East Carolina's rotations around the battleground are so impressive. They seem to be everywhere at once, and they don't even have any global heroes. It's not like Falstaff's just randomly flying in or Brightwing is teleporting in. They just are constantly moving around and know exactly where to be. They've turned their battleground, the side of their battleground blue. They're grabbing their Giants now and starting to work on their bruisers, and because of this these creep tumors, they know that VCU exactly where they're at.
Yeah, and they're expending a lot of resources, like a lot of mana, just to try to get a handle on all this creep spread. And there's full vision provided from that. Oddish gonna get that Bone Prison very far forward. A bit of a mistake using the Ancient Spear, and a huge Poison Nova going out, but Divine Palm is clutch. A 2-man maw in the middle. The follow-up of Ring of Frost is on point, and they're just raining the damage down, but Dirty Harry falls. Heroic leap in from Oddish, but she's promptly blown up, and they only managed to trade out 1 for 2 in favor of VCU.
The coins are about the same as before, I think. They changed hands quite a bit, but Egwene is low, trying to get away from Gare Bear, who wanted to throw her back to the team with the overpower. They didn't get it, but they at least pushed back VCU from the turn-in point yet again.
I gotta say, I'm pumped about the heroic leap, Gilly.
Oh, I told you it was a possibility. I'm so pumped that Oddish went for it. That's one of my favorite heroics of the game.
That's a fun one. All right, level 13 is just about here for East Carolina. And now they're going to once again have that talent tier advantage, which is why you're going to see them start to bully once more. They're turning in 21 between those two heroes. They just need 4 more to be turned in. Bear has 11. So more than the doctor ordered, but more is less. No, that doesn't make sense. Anyways.
Well, I'm excited. Not only is Leap there, by the way, but we saw Divine Palm. Li Ming, goodbye.
Oddish has no chill, just constantly going ham on the opponents and picking up those kills, and now they can invade and steal some more coins.
I am a total Oddish fan right now. She's blowing me away. Stitch's play has been great. Sonya is on point. I love the Leap. We saw Divine Palm too. You know, I think all of the Karzims today we've seen have been 7-sided strike, but this is Divine Palm, and it really came in handy there, you know, because they were able to re-engage.
It's really refreshing to see, because in North America in general, we typically do see 7-sided strike, but stylistically, when you watch European tournaments, they usually run Divine Palm.
Yeah, maybe taking a page out of their book, and it's paying off so far. And now they're looking at the boss. They're at least going to pull them up here. There goes an overpower. The Lunar Flare did hit Diablo.
Really good Lunar Flare to stall that out, and then we see Dirty Harry gonna fall. Not quite, because the Divine Palm keeping those coins intact. The Apocalypse into a 2-man Maw. Can Diablo find that follow-up? Oh my goodness, that Ring of Frost was a decimation.
That was disgusting. Poor Vala, tell their tale. That was amazing by East Carolina, and now they can feel very confident in picking up this boss. I love a team that feels so confident about baiting another team up. They knew they had the advantage. They knew that VCU would want to come up here because they wouldn't want to give up the boss and get further behind, but they were down level 13 talents, and East Carolina totally took advantage of that.
All right, well, you can see that big Maw to set it all up, but the perfect Ring of Frost on 4 targets and the heroic Leap to follow it up. Absolutely perfect coordination by East Carolina.
The coordination has been on point. You know, I mentioned earlier that a couple of the games that I saw, sometimes their focus wasn't there, but it's a whole different story, a whole different team from that. So they've added not only the good rotations that I mentioned before, but now they're wrecking these team fights too. They get another turn in. They've stolen some mercenary camp. They have the boss bearing down on the top keep. This is East Carolina's game to lose.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, they're going to have another talent tier advantage. The moment that VCU thinks they've caught up with level 13, not at all the case, because picking up this bruiser camp on the bottom will grant East Carolina level 16. The top lane being bombarded as the middle keep has already gone down, and this is just falling out of the hands of VCU.
They have a 3-level lead, so they feel great to fight if that's what VCU wants to do, and it may be what they're forced to do as Flubberduck running into some members. But
that's a big Rain of Vengeance, though. Oddish has to leap, and Divine Palm does connect, and the Ring of Frost doesn't do anything. So a good start to the fight, but Flubberduck goes down. Prob gets very low, but VCU will sustain for now.
They've sustained. Well, what will they do? They do have some doubloons that they could try to turn in, but it looks like they want to go ahead and do what they can to structures, knowing that they have a hero advantage at this point, as well as the levels.
Gilly, we're talking about 4 turn-ins on the side of East Carolina, where VCU has not successfully gotten a single turn-in in this game. The top keep is exposed and actually took some damage, and the bottom keep is about to go down.
That's perfect, too. They're only at 18 doubloons, so that's not too bad to get another one, and they've already taken down both keeps in mid and bot, so there's only that one left before a turn-in starts to deal real damage to a core. And VCU has been constantly on just response damage control, which means they're not out-soaking lanes. They're 4 levels behind where they were just 3, and East Carolina feels so confident. They've been moving around all over the place. Man, that leap into the Divine Palm was very impressive. Oh my gosh,
I don't know if I've ever seen that. It was like Palm was cast on her mid-leap.
It was good. Okay, well, 6 doubloons have been turned in. The Sentinel not going to be able to stop it in time. The Shadow Stalk is used, but again, it's already done.
So they have 3 coins. They only need the 2, so they're desperately trying to get them turned in slowly but surely. But there's creep spread everywhere, revealing their exact location, so it makes it very safe and easy for East Carolina to look around and try to capitalize. Leap goes in with the Maw follow-up, and Ring of Frost is cast a little bit too early, but it still gets Li Ming. The poison in response, trying to sustain through this, but Flubberduck is in a bad spot, and that's going to be a 3-for-0, potentially more.
There goes Flubberduck. They're chasing down to Oddish, trying to find Li Ming. Li Ming and Zul, the only ones up. There she is. Oh, the jukes with the teleport, but it wasn't enough. Somehow Oddish stays alive. They've taken out Zul, and this is it. East Carolina are going for the win.
That is a full-on team wipe, probably the most decisive series we have seen all tournament. East Carolina, with a 4-level lead in the end, will defeat VCU, and they will be advancing to the round of 32.
Man, what a decisive match to end the day with, Jake. We had a lot of pocket picks, we had the Leap, we had the Rexar, but in the end, East Carolina just looked so impressive. We talked to them, they said they were worried about the roster change. It totally worked out for them. Yeah. And I think they are a pretty strong contender looking at their play today.
Like, honestly, that Zagara play, for someone who's new on the team, we saw Maw used never on top of anything else. Actually, the only time we saw something overlap was the Ring of Frost the one time.
Yeah.
Near flawless play out of them.
Right, and the leaps as well. That's not something we see very often. It's almost always Wrath of the Berserker. So using that leap to really start the engage, it's such a decisive start, right? Like, we're starting the fight now. Here we go. And then everyone can pile in from there. They've got the Devouring Maw to separate people out, and Ring of Frost, as soon as they come out, they were going nowhere.
Well, we can see some of those early plays. They actually lost Diablo very early on, but managed to get that one trade. So for the 1-for-1, but remember, the soak, the early attempt by VCU to find someone out of position, they were already about a half level down due to that. Moving into the mid game, we saw a few more picks happen to be picked up on Diablo, but there was always trades. Every time there was a kill picked up by VCU, they managed to trade out successfully. And then we saw this incredible combo in the top with that heroic leap after the 4-man Ring of Frost, of course, all enabled by Devouring Maw. Flawless play here.
So much fun, so amazing. And if you guys want more information on how that is going to work, as well as more stats and information about your favorite teams, go to heroesofthedorm.com to check it out.
And make sure to check out your brackets there, of course. We've got the fantasy brackets. We've got, of course, all the team profiles, and you can find out exactly how fantastical all these teams really are.